Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to second episode for Archicad now for this series. So this is the second session, and this will be focusing on stairs, tricks and tips. On the first session, we discussed about a bit on modeling, and today we will focus on a few tips and tricks and we will see how to take care of few settings and editing for stairs. So let's get started. Let's have a recap of what we actually have learned in the previous session. So in the first session, we actually talked about stair basics, and we looked at a few settings and their adjustments. The first staircase that we did was the spiral staircase. After that, we looked at the HTV staircase and we looked at the connection settings for the same. And finally, we did a few settings for the treads using Villa Patio as our reference. So let's get started with today's session, which is the second session for stairs. And let's take a look at the agenda for today. So for today, we will be talking about a request that was highlighted to us in the last session on winder staircase. And then we will talk about draining on the stairs. We will also take a look at the slanted riser, custom tread and riser. And we will also take a look at the headroom collision detection. And finally, some documentation for stairs. So let's start with Archicad. All right, so the first thing that we are going to look at is the winder staircase. So let me just pick up the stair tool. And let me just zoom in. So there are a couple of ways that you can use for creating winder staircase. So let me just start by clicking on the start point first. Let me zoom in a little more. And I can press the shift key to keep the staircase aligned and straight. I will give the first point. And then I can just turn. And since this is flexible going, as you can see, it can still expand. Again, I can press the shift key and click again. So I have the staircase here. Now let's look at the few settings. Now when you want to add the winder, you have to take note that you have to click on the reference line, the corner point here. Okay, so once you click on that, okay, give me a moment, I will have to adjust my pet palette first. So as you can see, my pet palette is not following the cursor. We can simply go to dialog boxes and palettes for the same. And from here, I can click on follow cursor so that my pet palette actually follows the cursor itself. So if I click now, so you have to take note that when you want to adjust the winders, you have to click on the corner point of the reference line. Only then you will get this option for turning. So we have this turning type options. So over here, we can decide upon whether we want the landing, the winders with equal angles, or winders with equal goings. So over here, I have two options to pick from. The first one is fixed riser offset. Okay, and over here I can, okay, firstly I have to select the winder option and then pick up fixed number of goings from here. So for example, let's say I want 3 winders, and then the next option is riser offsets from corner and minimum riser offset. So for this one, you have 2 options available. Either you can specify the minimum riser, or you can specify the fixed riser offset. So let's say I want the fixed riser as 300 here for both the sides, and I click OK. So it will create the winders. But over here, there is this the going line, which we can adjust later. I'll show you how to adjust so that the representation of the floor plan is much better. We will also do the same thing again. All right, so that's about when you want to add winders. Now let's say I want to also have the edge as curved. Okay, so for the curved edge, let's use another method to create the winder staircase. So I'm just going to pick up the stair tool one more time. To start with, I'll give a start point here. Again, I can press the shift key to keep it straight. And let's say I will create few risers here. Now for the turning itself, I can pick up from the pet palette either the equal angle winders or the equal going winders. So let's say I pick up the equal angles. Okay, you can make any of these selection, either equal angles or equal goings. Okay, so let's say I pick up this one, and for the curve, I can pick up arc by center point or any of these options. So all of these 4 options will be available for you to curve. So now if I pick up the center point, I can actually specify the radius that I want over here at this point. So let's say I give a distance of 1300. So that will take the center point. Now, as I move my cursor, I can see that it's already creating a curvature there. Again, to give another direction, I can take it vertical, and I can press the shift key again to get the alignment line. Let me move the pet palette on the side a little. So once I click, again, I can go back to the flight and pick up straight segment from here. Again, I'm going to press the shift key and left click again. So that will be your winder staircase with the curved edge. So let's take a look at the 3D now. Let me zoom in a little. So that's with the curved edge, and the other one with the straight. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, let me pick up the stair tool again, and let me draw a straight flight. Again, I'll click on the shift key, and now I can create a landing. So let's say I want a landing of 1000 maybe. Okay. Okay, let me just. Okay. Okay. Let me just try one more time, and I pick up the landing here, and I give a distance of 1000. And then the straight flight again. All right, so I have the staircase here. Let me just take a look at the 3D. Now let's take a look, like in case you have to create drains on the sides of the staircase, how to do that. So I'm just going to pick up the staircase and go to the settings. So over here, under structure, you will have two options, flight and landing. So if I look at the flight, I will have draining on flight. Okay, so in case you want to activate this, you can check this draining option here, and then you can decide whether you want on the left side, right side, or do you want it on the both sides. Okay, let's say I want this on the both sides. Okay, so if your drains on both sides are similar, then you can tick this box called uniform draining on left and right. So whatever settings you will apply to one, it will be applied to both. But in case it's different, you will have to pick it up from here when you're making changes to the drain settings. So let's say I want the drains to be similar on both the sides. It gives you an option to decide whether do you want it flat or you want it stepped. So you can select the draining type. Let's say right now its draining shape is flat, and if you pick up the other one, then it's stepped, as you can see in the preview also. So let me keep this as flat. And for the drains itself, you can actually play around with the dimensions here. So for example, let's say this one I want 200. Okay. And in case you want to override the surface, you can simply activate this override surface, and then you can pick up the material from here. Once that is done, whatever setting you want to apply. So for the time being, I have deactivated override surface. After making some changes, whichever you want to apply for, I'm just going to click on OK and let it execute. So there, as you can see, it will create the drain on both the sides. So that's about creating draining from the settings itself. Now let me also use the same staircase to show a few more settings. Now, for example, let's say the riser here, I want to make the riser as slanted. Again, for that, I can go to the settings. And in the settings dialog box, the first head that will specify the stair settings itself, you have the option, which is slanted riser. Okay, so the first one is straight, the other one is slanted. Now, the slanted riser itself gives you an option to either slant it by angle or by distance. So based on the information you have with you, you can actually pick from here. So for example, let's say I keep this as angle and take the default value here, and I click OK. So there, it will slant the riser based on what you key in for the values. Now let's move on to the next information that I wanted to share. Okay, now for that, let me create another staircase here. Okay, let's take a look at the 3D. All right, so for this, let me select the staircase first and click on the edit option. And once this is on edit mode, I can pick up the structure right click, and over there I have an option to split the stair structure itself. So I'm going to select this option, split stair structure. The moment you select that option, you will see a preview and a vertical plane which will align itself with each of the threads here. So based on where do you want the structure to be split, you can actually align that. So for example, let me just click on this place. So as you can see here, now my structure is in two parts for this flight. Now how I can use this tool here, since the structure is already split, I can exit the setting modes. Take note, this division that we have just now done is available only in the split mode at the sub element level. But when you pick up the staircase, it will appear as one only. So again, going back to the edit mode, let me just pick up the split structure. And from the info box here, I'm just going to go to the settings. From the settings dialog box here, now I can actually change the style for the structure here. I can do it as a beam or a cantilever, or even if it is monolithic, I can change the appearance of the structure from here, and I can click OK. So that will modify the structure at this point only. Another interesting thing that we can do here is, which I also shared last time. For example, let's say the thread. Take note, whenever you select a thread, there is a pop-up with the selection, which has three options. So depending upon which thread you have selected, for example, right now, this is the third thread. So in the pop-up here, the first option, if I click, it will select the threads below the selected thread itself. So for example, if I've selected this one and I pick up the first option, it will select the first two steps. But if I pick up the last option, it will select all the steps above it. Whereas if I select the center one, it will select all the steps in that flight. So let me just pick up this. So as you can see, it selects these three. Now I can again go to the settings. And from here, I can actually choose whether do I want few accessories on these three steps or not. So for example, I can pick up nosing. I can activate nosing here. Okay. And I can decide if I have a custom profile or nosing with extension or without extension. Even the profile, I can play around the nosing shape. And accordingly, once you change it, you will have the options to customize the nosing itself. Okay, but at the moment, let's take a look at what are the other options. Similarly, you have the race strip, milled recess, non-slip accessories, and so on. So we can try out these options and see how it replicates. So for example, let's just pick up one of these, for example, non-slip accessory here. Let me activate this. Under the non-slip as well, you will have a few options to pick from. Let me just pick up, let's say, edge protection. Again, you can decide upon how the shape of this edge protection will be and what will be the thickness. Similarly, you can also pick up the materials from here. Not just that, you can also decide upon the length and the height of the accessory, and whether do you want it only at the front edge or also on the sides. So all these things can be customized from here. So let me just place it on both sides as well. And I'm just going to click OK. So as you can see here, it's already been executed. And now I can just click on the exit edit mode. So that is how you can actually split the structure, or in case you want to add the accessories, you can add that as well. Now let's create a few more interesting things. Going back to the ground floor plan, let me create a staircase and show you how you can customize treads and risers. So maybe I'll take an example of tread due to limitation of time as well. All right, so I'm just going to create a straight flight here. And I'm just going to select this, and I want to see only this in this particular staircase in 3D. So I'm going to right click and show selection in 3D so that I can focus only on the staircase that I want to work on. So now for this staircase, if I select it and go to the settings, let me customize this staircase a bit. I don't want this the structure like this. Maybe I'll pick up only stringers on both the sides for flight structure as well as landing structure. And then maybe I will customize this furthermore and keep this as straight. And the profile maybe I'll keep this as structure, but maybe change a bit of the dimensions here from what I have. Maybe I'll make this as 50, slightly thinner. Likewise, if I go to the landing stringers, I'll make this also as 250 and 50 here. Okay, let's just go to the finishes now. So over here for the finishes, let's just keep this as threads only. So I'm just going to click on, I think that's all for now. Just click on OK and let's see how the end product looks like. So that is what I have at the moment. All right, so this is what I want, but I want to create a custom thread. So what I'm going to do here is I will just select the staircase, click on edit so that I can work on the sub element level. I'm going to pick one thread from here, right click, and from the list here, I'm going to pick up convert selection to morph. You'll get a warning, just click OK over here and let it convert. So once it converts, you will see that this element appears a little faded compared to the rest. So that means it's already been converted. So I'm going to select this, right click and just pick up show selection. Wait, okay. All right, so let me exit the sub element level first so that I can work only on this. So I will select now this element, if you see here, is not part of the staircase anymore. So I'm just going to right click and now pick up show selection. So I see only the thread. Now let's customize this thread further. I'm going to click on the surface and I will get this option in the pet palette. So I'll use the first one, which is, okay, let's just create an offset first. So I'll use this offset all edges so that I have something to play around with. So I have offset the edges here. Now the center surface, again, I'm going to click and use the first option, push pull. And I will try to create a void here. Let me move the bed palette on the side first. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, let me try again. So I click on the surface one more time. Okay, so there you go. You have the void there now. Now, so I have created already the boundary. So I'm going to just pick up one more time the morph tool, and I'm going to create another morph on top of this, a plain surface first. So let's press Q for snap. And I'm just going to create a surface. And this surface, I'm going to just change the material to glass. And again, click on the surface itself using the push and pull. I'm just going to give it some thickness so I can use the distance value as 20, for example. So I have something like this. The next thing would be, so I've already created the kind of thread, the design I want. So I can select both of these and I can simply save them as object. So file, we can go to file, library and objects, save selection as, and from here you can save this. If you're creating a thread, you can use stair thread, but if you've customized the riser, you can use stair riser. The method is just the same for saving and using it further. So I'm going to just save this as stair thread. And it will ask you the location. So let me save it as in the embedded library itself as GSSG thread, for example. So the moment you click save, it will ask you for orientation. So the first point that you need to click is the center point. So again, to snap, I'm going to press Q. So I left click on the center point, and then it will ask you the direction. Okay, so again, I can press the shift key and click. You can make the necessary settings here for pen style and click OK. And let it save. Let me just select show all now. Now, since I have already saved this object, I can delete this. As this is just a morph. And now let's see how do we add that design that we just now created. So let's say if it's the same staircase, I can simply pick up the staircase. And then firstly, I need to add a thread here, which I have worked on. So I will click on edit. So once you click on edit, it will show you the boundary of the thread. So you can pick up that and activate the thread itself. You can enable the thread from the info box. So it will pick up the design which is existing. Now, when you want to change it to the new design, I will exit the edit mode first. Go to the stair settings. And from here, I need to pick up the thread, the one I have created. So from this setting, thread settings, I can simply pick up GSSG thread that I created just now, and I can click OK. So there you go, the thread that we created, the design that we created, it's already been added to the staircase. All right, let's move on to the next one. We will now look at a tool that was introduced in Archicad 22, which is the headroom. So for example, the staircase, I need to check the headroom. So we will have to activate the headroom first from the model view options. So what we can do is at the bottom of your screen, you can pick up model view options from this location. So over here, you will notice you have the stair options, and under stair options, you have headroom. So once you activate, the headroom will be activated for all stairs in that view. So the orange color box that you see is actually the headroom. So what I can do is, let me just go to ground floor and let me just create an object which can be used for checking how we can use collision detection for headroom. So over here, let me just create a slab for time being. It can be any MEP element as well. It can be a duct if you want to check whether the clearance is enough for, I mean, do you have enough headroom below the duct or not, or it can be a pipe or anything. So for the time being, we are just going to draw a slab here. And let's take a look at the 3D view. So this slab, I'm just going to raise the height a bit. Let me zoom in a little. Okay. Let me give an offset value here. For example, let me just give this as 1500, or maybe a little more, 2000. All right, so okay, give me a moment. Let me just raise it some more so that we have it adjacent to the headroom. Okay, let me just key in the height. I'm having a problem with my mouse right now, so let me just raise it up a little. All right, so now for the collision detection itself, you can just go to the document, design tool, design tab. And from here, you can just pick up model check. Under model check, you have collision detection. So over here, our first criteria, I'm just going to keep this as all types. For the second one, I'm going to take as stair, and I'm going to add additional criteria here for stair model. So if you pick up stair model, there are two options for you, headroom or stair. You can deactivate stair and keep the headroom activated, and then you can just click on check. So it will run the collision detection, and you can see that there's already a collision here. And then you can use other tools in Archicad like issue manager, I mean creating a new issue from the tool itself and using it further. Right, so that is how you can activate the headroom and run collision detection as well. Now let's move forward. The final part of today's session is actually stair documentation. So for that, let me open up a file. So stair documentation actually can be controlled from two different locations. Okay, maybe I show you here first. The stair documentation can be controlled from two different locations. And for that, let me deactivate the headroom first. So the first one will be from the settings dialog itself. So if I select any of these staircases here and activate the settings, over here you will have the floor plan display and the reflected ceiling plan display. So you have the grid and structure, break mark, walking line, and so on, numbering and so on. So you can control these options from here. Please take note that if you pick up floor plan display and you want to control your display settings using the settings dialog itself, make sure your by model view option is unchecked. Okay. So if you uncheck, then you can decide upon what elements do you want to see in your view. Okay. So you can control it from there. I think let me just go to the floor plan view better because we were in the 3D view just now. So from here, let me again go to the settings dialog. Yeah, so a floor plan display. Make sure the model view options is unticked so that you can decide upon the items that you want to see in the floor plan view. That's first part. And similarly, from here, you can also choose, like, if you have a staircase, do you want to see it only on the home story or a story above? Or there are a few other options here that you can look into. So in case you're picking up that you want to see the staircase on other levels as well, then it gives you an option at the bottom, I mean, below here, where you can actually select on each of those stories that the staircase is visible, how do you want the representation to be. So you can pick it up from these drop down list here. So this is one way of controlling the stair representation. Another way would be using the model view option. So if I go to the model view option here, now also take note that when we control the representation of the staircase from the model view option, that will be for that particular view and will be applicable to all the staircase in that view. Now over here on the right side, I have control over each and every component of the stair. So based on how I want to see it, I can activate or deactivate that particular component. Also, this model view option gives you a control over the detail that you want to see for the staircase. So depending upon your view scale, you can choose to see either a full representation or a schematic representation. So once you pick up schematic, you can control the attributes as well. So we will look into those things in a while. For now, let me just take you to the other file. And over here, we will see floor plan by settings first. So as you can see here, I have few staircases. For the first one, if I select and look at the settings, you will notice that I have everything activated here for this one. But if I want to control, I will, let's say the other one here, I only see the break line, right? So based on how I want to customize or how I want my representation to be, I can select from the list here. So another thing that I would want to highlight here is that the numbering. So for the numbering itself, if I go to the settings dialog, and expand this floor plan display. Over here, I have numbering. So you can actually decide whether you want the numbering on risers or on treads, okay? Or whether do you want to see the numbering on the visible part or the hidden part, okay? And where do you want to start the numbering from? So all these things you can actually customize from here, okay? And if I click on edit and activate the symbol again, so I have the option, for example, let's say if I pick up, I think I'm having problem in, yeah, okay. So now if you pick up the numbering here, you'll get two nodes, okay? So you can decide whether you want to, I mean, these two nodes, the first one at the center, you can actually decide in case you wanted this to be rotated, or for example, this one at the center here, I can choose to represent or place it on the left side here. Okay, so you can actually play around for these representations as well. Okay, likewise, you also have for MVO, which is the floor plan. Let me exit the edit mode first. So floor plan, again, this I have few options here, but this one is actually by model view options. Okay, so this is full, and then I have settings here for MVO, which will be applicable to all of these staircases. As you can see that all of them are actually same. So that is like for the view itself. So again, in case you want to customize settings for each of the staircase, then you will have to go individual to the settings. But if for the entire view, you can control that by using model view options. The last thing I want to show for today is, let me just use one of the views here. Maybe I'll use this one. So for example, just now we were talking about controlling the display level of the stairs using model view options. So if I click on the model view options, currently is set to full, as you can see. But let's say my detail level, I want to keep this as bare minimum. So I can actually change this to schematic, just a tip here. And from here, I can actually choose any override that I want to. For example, let's say I want only, let's say I pick up forest green paint here, and then pen style also I can choose. And I say, okay, so this will change to schematic. Okay, so this will, you can actually change it to schematic in case of you want to control the detail of the view, or even like your 3D views, if you want to keep them lighter, you can actually change the view, the stair setting to schematic using your model view options. All right, so that's all from my side today. That's a few tips and tricks and few settings that I wanted to share with you all. Any question, feel free to ask. Also, give me a moment. Okay. All right. So let me move them. All right. So that was for today. Also, if you are interested in learning more about about stairs and railing, please feel free to visit GRAPHISOFT Learn. The QR code is on the screen right now. And there is a training available for you all to go through and learn further. And there is a help center article which will guide you for stairs and explain all the elements and the sub elements level along with the settings, basics and advanced both. Also, do follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We also are available on YouTube. So all the presentations, all the webinars that we have been conducting so far are available on our YouTube channel as well. So feel free to browse through and learn further. So that's all from my side today.